All right, and we're back. Zach, you said you had a question for Steven?
I do. Who, in your opinion, who is the best player in the NHL currently today?
It's Connor McDavid. It's Connor McDavid. It's hands down him. Like, I saw an argument on Twitter earlier saying that the Penguins won the most difficult division in the NHL, and
What's won the division?
They won the East Division. I think that they're in. I think that's what they're deciding to call it this year. And I saw the argument saying that because they won that division and Crosby was their best player, that Crosby deserves the Hart Trophy, and Mike Sullivan deserves Coach of the Year. And I'm just like, no. Did we not all watch the guy get 100 points in 53 games just last night? It's not even close. It's Connor McDavid.
I knew he was gonna light up the Canucks this series.
Yo, can you imagine he scores 4 points 3 more games in a row and has 112?
And he's play him?
Like, can you imagine that 2 points a game for an entire season in 2021?
No.
Like, oh my God, it's crazy. And like Zach was saying the other day, he's had 11 games where he hasn't scored a point this year.
3 of those are against the Leafs
in a row,
and 3 of them are against the Canadiens.
If he even plays, I'll be surprised.
If he even plays.
To me, I'm the coach. You got your 100 points. Sit down, because I want you to get that cup too.
You're right, but
Conn Smythe.
I don't think McDavid will allow it. He'll be like, "Nah, I'm going on the ice."
I know.
I don't know.
It happens in basketball throughout the entire year, but that's because like I coached a student teacher basketball game, and I just wanted to play the basketball players, and I quickly realized that I can't make them run for that long and do all that. So I see it. NHL, you can have, why can't you apply that reason where it's like they're physical? They're actually physical, where it's like they get beat up on a nightly basis. McDavid, not so much, because, like, you can't catch the guy. He's like the road runner out there. Yeah. But I just sit down, maybe just the last game of the year. Take the last game off, because like I don't want the bad aura from the last time McDavid played the last game of the year and snapped his patella.
Yeah, fun little fact here. So we're from a small town, like 4,000 people, northern Ontario, called Yerko Falls. The reason why I'm saying that is because as a kid from here, he played in the OHL, Brody Silk, and he said he played like McDavid quite a few times, but one of my other buddies was watching the game and he told him, hit McDavid tonight. And that's what he tried to do for the entire game in the OHL. He could not touch him. There wasn't even like a second or close to touching him the entire game. And Brody was a player. Like, Brody could play hockey. Couldn't touch him.
He was the captain. He was the captain
of the Sudbury Wolves.
Most notable thing of his career was absolutely destroying, I think it was Ryan Strome's face, and getting suspended for a sucker punch when, I don't know if you can classify a sucker punch when both players have their gloves off and in a hand position to fight, but it's kind of what happens when you knock out a Strome in the OHL.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, he just couldn't touch him. McDavid's incredible.
He's the first player since 95-96 to have 100 points in 53 games. He was born in 97. He's the only player in his lifetime to do it.
One of only ridiculous. 9 all time in the NHL.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, in a league where clearly there's a lot less scoring nowadays. So it's a whole different ball game. And yeah, he's incredible.
All right. So can I ask this question quick, Danny?
Yeah, go for it.
You said who you think the best player is. Who's your favorite player currently?
My favorite player currently, well, I get to watch him every single time I watch the Leafs, and that's Austin Matthews. But I'm going to put him in a tie with Mitch Marner. Just because, and my reasoning for that is not all the goals or everything like that. Well, I mean, that's partly the reason why, but it's just like being able to watch him go from where he was in his rookie years, 16, 17, and him and Mitch together, not playing together, but on the same team. And where they are right now, they've improved every single year. And I love that. It's so visually appealing to watch them make a play that they couldn't make last year or they couldn't execute in previous years. And it's just like to see them both playing together, because they had a coach that wouldn't play them together, especially. To see them both do it together is awesome. So they're my two favorite players to watch. And it's just like you see them chatting on the bench yesterday where they were drawing up like a set play for the face-off, and they're really animated. They're getting in on each other about it. I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and they execute it. And it's just like it's so awesome to see those guys realize their potential together, because it's just like I have a picture on my wall from the 93 playoffs. It's Dougie and Clark, and it's just like, if you're a Leaf fan, the picture. You can close your eyes and you can see the picture, because everyone's got that picture somewhere. And it's just like seeing that picture every day I walk by it, and seeing those two sitting together on the bench. I'm just like, that's our duo. That's our duo.
100%. So I noticed on YouTube, like you do a lot of videos about jerseys and stuff too. So how many jerseys do you have in your collection?
In my collection right now?
Yeah.
There's over 20 of them right now that's in my personal collection.
That's cool. And you flip them too? Like, is that what you do a little bit? Like, I noticed you sell some of them.
Yes. So what I'm doing is I'm scouring all of, because like I'm cheap. I'm just gonna be 100% honest. I'm cheap. Like, you guys got all the memorabilia in the background too. You know how expensive all this stuff is.
Yep.
And it's like, to me, I can't justify it in my brain spending as much money as I would, I guess, need to have the collection that I do. So I tried to figure out a way to get them, but without actually spending any money on them. So over the last year and a half or so, I am on Facebook Marketplace. I am on Kijiji. I am on eBay, and I am waiting in the weeds looking. And it's because it's like, okay, well, maybe that's not a nice way to put it. I don't want to make it look like I'm like doing anything shady or anything like that. But there's a lot of people that they get them as gifts. They get jerseys as gifts, and they don't know the marking on them, or there's a small stain in it and it needs to be cleaned out. And I'll pick it up for cheap, and then I'll clean it up. I'll give it a little bit of TLC. I'll give it a nice little iron or whatever it needs, take some nicer pictures of it, and I'll make $20 on it. And you do that over the course of a year and a half or so, and you get lucky a couple of times, and eventually it adds up.
For sure. I get it. I run a store called DJ's Collectibles, and I literally sell hockey memorabilia and stuff like that. So do you collect anything outside of jerseys?
Right now, no. Like I've really wanted to get some nice pictures and stuff like that as well, but it's like all the wall space that I have here in the basement is dedicated to jerseys. Like, it literally wraps all the way around the entire basement.
Would it be too much to ask you to show us, or
it's a little bit messy right now. I'm gonna be honest with you guys.
All right,
no problem.
When this is done, I'll get you to send me your address, and I'll send you like a little care package, a little surprise for you.
Well, thank you very much. You definitely don't have to do that.
No, I just want to.
One of the most generous people I've ever met. He's not gonna take no.
Bro, I'm a co-host of this podcast. Where's my care package?
I gave you a game used signed Daniel Alfredsson stick from his rookie year.
That's a good point, Daniel. That's a good point.
You gave me a signed Gray picture.
You got me there, Daniel.
I'm pretty sure that stick's worth like $1,000. So
but no, it's definitely, it's gone to another level. Like, where, like, the reverse retro jersey that's hanging in the background, that is a Rasmus Sandin team issued jersey. So he didn't wear it, but in the case that he was going to be on their roster, that jersey was issued to him. And the Leafs sell all their stuff off at auction, and they go for absolutely crazy prices. And if anyone wants to know how much you paid for it, it is readily available on the Real Sports auction thing. But it is something that I definitely would not be able to justify without doing all the nitty gritty collecting stuff. Like, I've driven from Toronto to Guelph to pick up a jersey before, just because that's how good of a deal it was.
Yep. Oh, I get it. We live in Iroquois Falls, about 8 hours from Toronto, and I drove all the way up there to pick up a hockey card collection one time. So, I mean, I get it. The price is right. You got to go get it.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. I had a question, but I lost my train of thought. You guys got a question?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Canadian division as a whole this year? And during that, if you could chime in on the Canucks and your thoughts on them this year.
The Canucks, I mean, like Canucks fans generally don't like Leaf fans or fans of other teams and stuff like that. And it's, you know what? I understand. I completely understand it. But the Canadian division as a whole, the way that I've looked at it is, I'm not going to feel bad that the Leafs are in it. And if you're a team that's in a playoff spot in the Canadian division, if you're a fan of one of those teams, I wouldn't feel bad about it either. But especially if you're a Leaf fan, I mean, Jesus, 1 year where we don't have to go through Boston and Tampa Bay. I'm not feeling bad about that.
No.
No, I'm not feeling bad about that. Are you kidding me? It may be a little bit on the weaker side, but then you can argue that it's not, because the guy who's got 100 points in 53 games is playing in it. The reigning Vezina Trophy winner is playing in it. The reigning Hart Trophy winner is playing in it. One of the greatest goal scorers in the entire league, and Austin Matthews, is playing in it. So it's like, you can't fault it for not having skill.
So I seen a lot of things about, people saying Matthews wouldn't have like as many goals had he been playing just in the entire NHL. But this year he had posted 40 goals in 49 games. But last year it was 40 goals in 55 games. And in my opinion, Matthews got a lot better than last year. So it makes sense. Like, I don't think it would be much different.
It's like, look, like my face is always a little bit red. But doing a video like last year or so, like I could visually see my face getting redder and redder as I was doing it, as I've come to the realization that it's like, I don't buy into that argument at all, that if Matthews is playing in like the regular division, he wouldn't have as many goals as he does now, because last year he was literally, last year he was literally on a team coached by Mike Babcock that refused to play him and Marner together and that refused to play offense. So it's just like, no, I don't buy that at all.
Agreed.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the Canadian division. Like, I don't really care what division's the strongest, weakest. The way I see it is, once you hit playoffs, it really doesn't matter where you finish. It matters is, can you beat them 4 times in a 7-game series?
And that's why I'm not too hyped over the Canadian division title or whatever it is, right? Like, I want to, like, it doesn't really mean anything if you don't come out of that division. If they come out of it, yeah, it's forever bragging rights, because they're not doing this again. And you asked me to touch on the Canucks, and just quickly, because I don't want to go too long or take up too much time, but it's hard. It's really easy for me as a Leaf fan to just go like haha, like kind of laugh, like pre obviously what happened to them. Like, obviously, like if you're laughing at them now, I don't think that that's fair. But it's easy for me to look at them and just like not care, I guess, or not really appreciate their struggles. But it's just like, it's frustrating for me as a hockey fan, because I just want all the teams to be as good as they possibly can be.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's hard to watch that team have so much talent and so much skill and constantly shoot themselves in the foot.
I was never aware of the Leaf Canuck fan feud until I went to a Leafs game. It was Leafs Canucks February 29th last year, shortly before COVID existed.
Literally
and
right before.
I was wearing this jersey, and I'd sat between 2 Leafs fans, and they ended up being really nice guys, but the whole time it's like, don't stand up if the Canucks score. They're like giving me tips. They weren't hassling me. It's like, if they score, just sit down. Don't stand up. And then I'm like, why? It's like, I watch games, like, people get up when their team scores in this building all the time. He's like, yeah, but if you're a Canucks fan, don't do it. And it's like, wow, really? And I don't really care. I want all Canadian teams to be successful because I'm Canadian and that's who I want to watch.
I can't believe you didn't stand up. I would have stood up.
Well, we scored once. We scored once or twice. I stood up when Matthews scored that game.
Okay.
But I didn't. We scored once and it wasn't even a nice goal. I honestly, it took me like 2 seconds to realize, like, oh, they scored. And I was like, yeah, I'm not getting up now.
Fair enough.
I hate almost every team in the Canadian division, so I don't care how any of them do.
It's always awesome to just have the one guy on the show that just is nuclear all the time. Like, he just comes in. I don't care, guys.
There's 31 teams in the NHL. I like one. I can stand 3 other teams. That's it.
And
Everyone
Vegas
else can.
Vegas is one of them because they haven't been around long enough.
Vegas
to find something to hate.
Winnipeg and Ottawa, I'm like borderline don't care for. They're like, eh. But other than that, it's Vegas, okay, and then obviously Washington. The rest
Big
of the
Bruins
Metro
fan.
/ East Division could go away.
He's
Pittsburgh
a
and
big
New York.
Bruins fan, too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did a video on the Tom Wilson, whole situation over the last week. Tell them what your intro to that video was, Zach. You're the reason our retention for that video is like a minute. He just came out. Tom Wilson is the best player in the NHL. Tom Wilson does not deserve to get suspended. Tom Wilson.
I can
blah, blah,
imagine
blah.
the people that heard that and immediately just put their phone down. I was like, nope. Not
Oh
doing
yeah, they're
that.
just like, oh, these guys are dumb. These guys are
I
dumb.
said Panarin and Buchnevich were fully at fault for what happened. I said Tom Wilson's never done anything bad before.
No, I mean, hey, when you're feeling as passionate as you are, sometimes you're gonna have moments like that. Like, I mean, like, admittedly,
he
like,
was joking. He was joking, but people aren't gonna understand that.
No,
are watching for the first time, right? So yeah, it was.
I mean, it's okay. I make jokes on my channel all the time that don't go over well or people don't find funny at all, and I'm just like, all right, fine.
I didn't care.
It's cool.
It was hilarious.
Off topic, I want to give a shout out to Anze Kopitar for being the first Slovakian player to hit 1,000 points. It's a pretty big deal.
Slovenian player.
Slovenian, is that actually the term?
Yes.
Okay, my bad. I failed
He's from
geography.
Slovenia, not Slovakia.
Also, what's you guys' take on the Rob Brindamore situation? Have you heard about it at all?
Yeah, a little bit in passing. Like, he's basically saying, like, look, I know you guys want to re-sign me, but I can't be me without everyone else. So you're gonna give everyone. Oh, he did?
Yeah, we signed a 3-year deal, $1.8 million a year.
This broken
was, like,
just
super
live on the
recent,
Chicken
right?
Tenders podcast.
No, this happened yesterday or the day before.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Oh,
I'm.
Danny, you lied to me.
There, it's solved. He signed.
Yeah,
But
he
I mean-
took a way smaller contract than he probably could have got.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, I mean, hey, good on him. Like a lot of other outlets are pointing out, he doesn't really need the money. He needs the support staff around him. And he'd be stupid not to. But also what's his name? Tom Dundon? Is that the owner in Carolina?
Something like that.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Whatever. The owner in Carolina, he hasn't really gone over well with fans since taking over. Like, between the announcers, all of the cuts. I mean, the team is great, right? But I mean, good on Rod the Bod or whatever you want to call him for sticking up for himself there and doing what he needs to do.
To me,
100%.
it just, when you get a $7 million contract as a coach, that's like an old dry wooden throne with a fire smoldering under it. When you get that much as a coach, because the minute your team's not looking successful, the first set of eyes is going to, all right, why are we paying you this much money for this result? And it seems like it's a whole lot easier to remove that element from the team's media, and just the media is not going to go to Rod. He's barely getting paid. He controls the staff. They are successful. Now it just goes down to, are the players going to do what Rod's taught them to do? I like the Hurricanes. I'm excited for their playoff run this year.
Aren't they first in their division? Like,
Yeah, they clinched the division.
Don't they have a real
And-
shot at winning the President's Trophy?
Yeah.
I think.
And this brings an interesting little thing where the last time the Hurricanes won their division, they won the cup, but they might win the President's Trophy too. So
They're tied with Vegas at the top of the league, but Vegas has a game in hand.
Okay. Man, if Vegas wins, that's crazy. They're
Vegas
such
is
a good
gonna
team
be-
so fast. I was actually at the
really
first
bad.
Leafs in Vegas game in Toronto, which was really cool. I was sitting beside Marner's parents. Ironically, the whole game, like, Marner's dad was right beside me. And if when you're watching hockey, you just yell shit, right? And every time I'd yell something, he'd yell the exact same thing. So it was like in sync, and we just kind of look at each other, and I'd be like, "Hey," like it was kind of cool. I
Does he
didn't
seem
know it
like
was
a nice
Marner's
guy?
dad. So, he did. He really did. But like, I didn't know it was his dad up until, well, I thought he was throughout the game because he kept referring to like everybody on the team by their first name. It was like, oh yeah, Matt yesterday at supper. We was speaking about like Matt Martin, Matt yesterday at supper, blah blah blah. And I'm like, this guy's got to be, somebody. Then they kept referring to Mitch as Mitchell.
Yeah.
And he was pissed that at the time Marner only had like 6 minutes on the ice after 2 periods, and he was fuming.
Well, that's his job, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, you guys got any more questions?
Did you see Lucic waived his no movement clause for the expansion draft?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So he waived it without the team asking, to my knowledge, so they could protect more people. Obviously, he's not expecting to be taken in the expansion draft, though.
Of course.
Which
that's a hefty contract, yeah.
Yeah.
For Lucic. But he has been having a pretty good year. Like, don't get me wrong. I just don't think anybody's taken on that contract.
Oh God, no! Especially since there is a no movement clause on it.
Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't stay waived if he gets moved?
To my knowledge, no.
That's interesting. Yeah, that was an interesting deal where like they couldn't even put him to the AHL or anything, right? He was like stuck in the NHL no matter how he performed.
I believe so, yeah, because it's a full no movement, not no trade.
Okay. When they made the trade for Neil or whatever, that was like a big topic on it, right?
Yeah. That's why no movement clauses are dumb.
They seem to be pretty standard, like nowadays.
Oh yeah, them or a modified no trade.
Yeah,
it's in every big contract. It's security for the player though, right?
Yeah, he doesn't want to go unless he's like, he just wants to say like no player is ever gonna go like, no, you're not trading me, because who wants to stay where they're not wanted? It's just they want a say so that they don't get shipped to. Well, I mean, they've kind of turned it around now, but like a dumpster fire like Detroit, where it's like
Buffalo,
you're Verana and you go from I'm playing playoff hockey this year to, well, now I'm not.
Why you have to bring that up?
Because he's playing phenomenal.
Verana's on fire.
Let's not talk about it, guys. I'm gonna cry.
You know what, Zach? It's okay because Mantha playing amazing with you guys as well.
Yeah, but I miss Verana, Braden.
I know. I miss him. I'm not even a Capitals fan. I get old school vibes from him in a Detroit uniform. I was watching his highlight package with Detroit so far this morning on SportsCenter, and he just looks so old school. Like, I don't know.
Verana or Mantha?
Verana. Mantha's just a big body. Like, he's just a bully.
Yeah, that could score. He's a beast.
Coach of the year, Jack Adams. The current nominations are Dave Tippett, Mike Sullivan, Joel Quenneville, John Cooper, Cassidy, and Rob Brindamore. And to me, my pick this year, I'm going with Joel Quenneville.
Yes.
Florida as a team is playing great hockey. Like, it's not like they're playing over their heads and they're hot. They're playing good. Like, it seems like they have a really good system and that they've all bought into together.
Yeah, Quenneville is one of the best coaches of all time, so that makes sense. But yes, I do agree with you that he should probably win it this year.
Mm-hmm. People expected Florida to be good, but not this good.
Yeah, like
they
last
were
year,
terrible last year
to be good, and that didn't happen.
Who's Minnesota's coach?
I forget his name, but whoever's there is there because Brindamore, when he was working out a deal with Carolina, he went to Minnesota and negotiated a whole contract. Or actually, I think I'm mixing this up with their GM. But he went to Minnesota, basically negotiated an entire contract, and then went back to Carolina and said, here, this is what they're offering me. And Carolina went, okay. And then they signed it.
Dean Evison. Yeah, that guy should definitely be nominated for the Jack Adams too. Nobody thought they would be as good as they are.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can't put that all on Kaprizov. Like, he alone didn't turn them around that much.
No,
he brought
for sure
an element that they were missing.
Yeah.
They also definitely did good at decent value in Cam Talbot. I mean, he's played pretty well for them too. But I mean, Minnesota is known for making their goalies look better than what they are. So
Well, Dubnyk.
I don't know. Like I don't know what that is. If that's them defensively, if that's their systems, if that's their goalie, but they definitely do have something good going on there.
Well, if Talbot hasn't worked out, they've been able to fall back on Kakkonen,
Exactly.
who
He
I
was
got
on
in my
fire to
fantasy.
basically start the year, right? Kakkonen.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
He kind of fell
yeah,
off
he
a little
was.
bit though, right?
A little bit, yeah. Talbot's played way more than he has too.
Hmm.
I'd say Kakkonen normaled out more than he fell off. Because he hasn't put up bad numbers. He just put up less good numbers.
Yeah, he started out on fire.
Yeah. He had like a 9-0 run or something early on.
I don't mean to bring this back to Jack Campbell since we talked about him a little bit ago. I talked to Danny about this yesterday. Are you scared about this could be a flash in the pan kind of year for Jack?
I mean, he was good. Not the year that the Leafs traded for him, but the year before that. He's a guy that's never really gotten his shot. Because I mean, even in LA, he was behind Jonathan Quick and between Cal Peterson. So it's hard for, but then he comes over to Toronto and he's instantly just this really likable guy in the middle of something that was really, really miserable last year. And then this year starts back up with Freddie Anderson and it's not going so hot. And then Jack Campbell's able to come in and he's injured, but everyone's, it's kind of like, hey, like they're taking notice of this guy. And he's like for like small samples and stuff like that. And I got to be careful of it, especially because they use a lot of numbers. But it's over 30 or so games of him playing in Toronto so far for his career. At least I think so.
He's got 21 this year. I'm not sure what
21
he was
this
last
year.
year.
I think it was 6 last season. So
Okay,
27
almost
games.
30.
27 games. 27 games is not a small sample, but it's definitely not anything to be conclusive of. I mean, we were just talking about the Panthers and another guy that's barely played NHL. I'd be surprised if he's got over 50 games played in his career is Chris Drieger, their goalie, or however you pronounce his last name. And he's putting up absolutely amazing numbers as well. I mean, this year he signed for next season, Jack Campbell. So I wouldn't necessarily call him a number one goalie right now, but I am comfortable calling him a 1A in a tandem.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they have Riddick there with them or if they bring in somebody else, because I highly doubt Anderson's coming back.
I have a funny story with David Riddick. So when the Leafs traded for him, I was just not having it. I was having like an off day or whatever it was, and I got on camera. It was like 11:30 at night. I was tired. I just sat down to watch something on Netflix after a really long day, and I was looking over the numbers and I was reading the press release, and I'm like, I'm not happy with this trade. I'm not happy with this trade. I don't want to do this right now, but I have to.
That was one of the only videos I disagreed with you on. I was like, what the fuck?
I got on camera and I was like, I don't like this guy. And these are all the reasons why. And it's just like, but I was looking over because the numbers were not in his favor. And I did say harsh things in that video and stuff like that. And I look back at it and laugh every once in a while, but absolutely flamed for it. So Zach, don't worry about your Tom Wilson joke or whatever like that. I got absolutely flamed for it, but I think I figured him out. I think I figured him out as I started watching him because he's got that nickname, Big Save Dave. So it's like he hasn't been because he's not. I'm not gonna call him an amazing goalie, but I'm not gonna call him a bad goalie either. He has stretches where he's really, really good, and then Braden, you'll probably remember the stinker that he had against you guys, and it's just like he's capable of both. He's the swing in his performance is as drastic as you could possibly imagine it. He's capable of being Big Save Dave, and then he's capable of being big Civ Dave or whatever.
Yeah, he's basically just the Vancouver Canucks in a goalie.
He's so 50-50 too, though, because there's no middle ground with him. He's either lights out unreal or he's Swiss cheese.
I love his new pads.
I do too. Love his new
pads. Did he
finally
finally get new equipment or did he just use like pad wrap?
Basically looking like Felix Potme pads. New versions of them. They look really sick. I wish it would have been Campbell rocking them and not him, but they're really sick regardless.
But with him, I mean, and like the third round, like whatever it was the third round pick. But yeah, I'm on board with acquiring the guy who has the potential to be lights out, right? Because if you're in a situation where you need to use him, I'd rather roll the dice and possibly get Big Save Dave, right?
Yeah.
He's also a more reliable option than somebody like Veni Vevalainen or Joseph Woll, who's never played an NHL
or
game.
Michael Hutchison, who I stacked him up against in that video.
Michael Hutchinson is the best third string goalie of all time.
I mean, we had Garrett Sparks 2 years ago, so
James Reimer has had quite the career since he's left the Leafs.
I miss.
So
Reimer.
is Jonathan Bernier.
The Leafs did him dirty, man. They did Reimer so dirty.
Definitely miss that guy.
But if you guys don't have any more questions for me, because I know we're kind of winding down here, but I have a question for you guys, and it's a fun one. If you'll allow me to ask it,
Of course,
because it might get us in trouble with the listeners.
That's
okay.
fine.
Okay, so no justification, no nothing. Who wins the Stanley Cup this year? Just shoot out a team. One team, no justification at all.
On a countdown?
Sure, like whoever wants to take the lead on it.
I'm going Leafs.
Danny's going Leafs.
I have to.
I'm gonna go last.
You're gonna go last. Okay, Zach, it's your turn.
So torn. I want to say Washington, but the Caps fan in me is like, no. I'm going. Vegas gets their first cup.
All right, and
Go
I'm gonna
Las
say,
Vegas.
Colorado.
Las
Ooh,
Vegas.
that's a good one too. That's gonna be a good third round or second round series between those two in that division.
Now,
Or
rather than justifying why we picked ours, I'm gonna say why I didn't pick Colorado and the Leafs. I didn't pick the Leafs because the Leafs are gonna leaf it. They leafed it against the Canucks when the Canucks came back. We talked. That was my first episode, a part of this podcast, because our internet and Anchor sucks. But I said it. I said, you want to believe that the Leafs are going to walk in here and kill them, but it's the Leafs, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
and I didn't pick Colorado. Colorado has been suffering this year from injuries, and I got that feeling that their goalies are going to go down again come round 2 or 3. And if it happens, like, it sucks to watch because I want McKinnon and Rantanen and Landeskog to succeed, but I don't see it because of how long of a year it's been for them, on top of how long of a year it already has been.
So for me, I didn't pick the Leafs because I didn't want to be too much of a homer on the show, right? Like I already started the show off being a bit of a homer, saying that John Tavares is going to win multiple cups here in Toronto. But at the same time, the reason why I didn't pick them is I still do think that they come out of Canada. But other than that, I don't have expectations beyond that right now. Because if they come out of Canada, we're in uncharted waters and nobody knows.
It goes for every single division right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen in that third round because nobody's played anybody. Like you could watch as many videos as you want, but you're never going to know how good a team is until you face them.
I think you can kind of like see how you'll stack up against the team, but probably the first period of every one of those series is going to be just like you do something. Do something, and then this, by the time the second and third period hits, we'll be able to see.
So you have Toronto coming out of the north, you have Colorado coming out of the west. Who do you have coming out of the east and the central?
Out of the east, you don't bet against Sidney Crosby, so I am taking Sidney Crosby. And the other division, I apologize, I'm not 100% familiar with all the divisions this year.
The 4 playoff teams in the Central are Carolina, Tampa, Florida, and Nashville.
Dallas could get in, but
Dallas is eliminated. Nashville clinched last night.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, there you go.
Okay, in that division, I would say Carolina just because I want to see it. They're fun. Fun.
I'm gonna take Nashville out of that one. Interestingly enough, I think Nashville is gonna surprise some people. like I said, 7-game series. Once it
Okay.
comes down to playing the same team, it's a different ball game. Hot take.
All right,
got
boys.
Tampa coming up.
We got a minute left on here there, so we're gonna wrap this up. Steven, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
Definitely send me your address after this, and I'm definitely sending you something. But yeah, no, thank you very much for coming on. It was a pleasure for sure.
I mean, it was a little bit rocky off the start just because I do stutter, but after like getting into it a little bit and stuff like that, it was awesome with you guys. You guys made me feel really comfortable.
Oh yeah.
Nice guy.
Might
You're
hit you
fun to
back
talk
up
to.
eventually to hop back on.
Yeah,
Oh,
of course,
100%.
I'd love to.
Awesome. No, yeah, our pleasure, man. Thanks again. This was episode 6 of the Chicken Tenders with Downtown Stephen Brown. All right, peace out, guys.
So
All right, take care, guys.